So today we're going to talk about FHA loans and how can they be a benefit to you. Some of the benefits of the FHA loan is lower down payment, lower mortgage insurance. The rates are typically lower than conventional loans. So those are just a few of the benefits on how it can definitely help you. Now, here's a couple of items as well. FHA has what we call the FHA mortgage insurance. Conventional loans have what's called private mortgage insurance. The mortgage insurance for FHA is government insured, meaning that it's a government backed program. The government has agreed and said that, hey, we're going to insure this loan so that if the buyer ever defaults, the lender is going to be made whole on that. Now, the same thing will happen with a conventional loan, but you got to get that mortgage insurance privately. So those are two things to consider there. And in most cases, let's say you're a 580, 600, 640, the mortgage insurance premium is going to be much lower on an FHA loan versus a conventional loan. So just keep that in mind. Although you might qualify for a conventional loan with a 620 or a 640, I would almost bet that that payment's going to be much higher due to the interest rate being higher and due to the mortgage insurance being higher. Now, keep this in mind. On an FHA loan, if your credit score is 640, more than likely your interest rate is going to be about the same whether you're a 640 or a 700 on an FHA loan. On a conventional loan, that's going to be significantly different and could vary by as much as a 0.5% to 1% with those two credit scores. Now, here's a few misconceptions about FHA. FHA is thought of as only a first-time buyer program, or only for people with low credit, or only for people that don't have enough money for a down payment. Now, none of those are completely true. Now, this can be used for anybody, and as I've already discussed, the FHA loan can help a ton of people get into a home just depending on their specific situation. For instance, you could still be a 740 credit score and use FHA. When you compare the differences between FHA and conventional, FHA might make more sense depending on your exact scenario. Or you can have a lower credit score with a 580, 620. And again, in that scenario, it may make a lot of sense. So there are different variables. And one of the biggest ones is a lot of people think it's just a first-time buyer program. It's not only a first-time buyer program. This is a program for anybody to use. But the one thing about it is when you do take out an FHA loan, you do have to live in the property. So just keep that in mind. So who qualifies for an FHA loan? Well, in theory, somebody with a 500 credit score can qualify for an FHA loan, but that's not really what we're talking about here today. We're going to talk about the person that has a 580 and above credit score. And with the 580, you're going to be able to get into an FHA loan with 3.5% down. Now, compared to conventional loans, you're going to need a minimum of a 620 credit score. And quite honestly, as I said before, the rate is just going to be terrible. Now, regarding the FHA application process, it's pretty simple. All you do is you talk to a lender, someone like me. What we do is we ask you a series of questions. We get some documentation from you. We check your income, your assets, your credit, and we kind of look at the situation to see what's going to make more sense, an FHA loan, conventional loan, or if you're a veteran, maybe a VA loan. So the process is pretty simple. Once we go through that process, we can determine if an FHA loan is right for you. So to close this out, if you're thinking about doing an FHA loan, here's a couple of tips to consider. Just make sure that, like with any other loan, you're paying your bills on time. You get qualified by a reputable lender. You want to make sure that you're talking to somebody that fully understands how the FHA loan works. That's going to make your process so much smoother once you get into escrow. Hope this helps.